I'm with Mike Chmielecki. I'm looking into his arm. Mike, how you doing? Mike, of course, I have to say, is the editor of Floor Covering Installer. Mike, how are you?
Very good. How are you, Dave?
Okay. Rating this show 1 to 10. That's dangerous territory, isn't it? But I'm going to ask you anyway. What are your thoughts?
I think there's a lot of enthusiasm this year. I'm seeing a lot of people that are, when I'm going into booths and asking around, they're saying, oh, this seems to be a lot more people interested in buying again, a lot more people interested in new ideas again. I don't know if the economy's improved per se for a lot of people, but I think they're just sick of waiting and sitting on their hands, and they just want to get back to it, so they're going in.
Now, I showed up on Monday for Education Day. There were several, or at least I bumbled into several seminars that were about installation, and they were packed.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they were just looking for a place to get in out of the rain, or people are really more interested in installation now than maybe in the past.
Yeah, I'm seeing installation really coming into its own. You're having more standards coming out. You're having more certification bodies looking into other ways to install things. And, you know, installation equals claims if it's done poorly. So manufacturers are interested in it, retailers are starting to understand it, and installers themselves are looking to make themselves more professional by getting certified and trained.
And it seems to me like the problems are universal. The problems they have in the carpet sector are pretty much the same problems they have in ceramic and wood and everything else.
Yeah, it all comes down to the proper substrate preparation, make sure the moisture meets the correct recommendations for the manufacturer, and if you need to do any type of testing, don't say, I don't need to do that, it'll be fine. You know, do what they say. Keep yourself protected by warranty, and, you know, otherwise you're going to have people knocking on your door and you're not going to have anything to stand on.
Just as an observer, to me, it seems like there are retailers out there that have solved their installation problems in their own part of the world years ago. They have, a lot of them anyway, installers on the payroll. And then there are installers that anybody whose temperature is over 50, they pretty much hire them. I guess what that tells me is there has to be some manufacturer perhaps that has to come in and ensure that installation, the quality of installation improves. But that hasn't happened up to now. I've been in the industry 30 years. They were saying installation was the biggest problem back then. I don't think it's gotten any better. Is it ever going to get any better?
Well, poor installation is the problem that's never going to get any better. I think if manufacturers step up and they at least say somewhere, you know, we want this product, we recommend it be installed by a certified professional, no matter what body it is, as long as it's respected and accredited, you're going to have much less problems than if you just go in and just hire someone who works pennies on the dollar, doesn't know what they're doing, and they just kind of throw it together and hope for the best.
I was at one of the installation seminar clinics that was given. Robert Varden was there doing it. He's the best.
Yep.
Tom Jennings from the WFCA, probably as a retailer, nobody better informed about installation. Robert asked the question at the front end, how many of you are familiar with CRI 104, 105? One hand went up. Okay. And there was a room full of people. I suspect if you were to do the same in the tile arena and ask them about the tile handbook, the same thing would happen. That seems to me to point out a big problem.
It is, and a lot of these manuals and these technical standards are very dense reads, you know, and you really have to very carefully go through it and make sure you understand everything. One thing we have Scott Carruthers. He writes our CTF tile tip every month. He doesn't put his byline on it because he just wants it to be from CTEF. But one thing I like about his perspective is he'll take like this very dense language and he'll make it a real-world example, and he'll just like zero in on maybe like a small part of the full document just to give you something to hold on to, and maybe you can go from there and find out more yourself. But a lot of times it's just the basics that you kind of just pass over. You're like, oh, I kind of know this. But that's usually the thing that gets you into most trouble.
Well, I think a lot of them, it's not, they don't get to the fact of the language because they never even heard of the work in the first place. And that's been around forever.
Yeah, it has been. There's too many people that aren't, they call themselves tile installers, they call themselves tile setters, and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know which mortar to use. They don't know what grouts to use. I mean, I know people who still think that if you grout a shower, it's now quote-unquote waterproof, and they're going to be in a world of trouble when that fails.
Well, and that does happen every day,
it does.
I suspect. What about the number of installers out there, whether we're talking about ceramic or we're talking about carpet or anything in between? I suspect a lot of installers left the business during the recession just out of necessity. Are we seeing more come back in? Are we facing a shortage in installers?
Yeah, I think we're going to have a crisis pretty soon. I mean, not to be sensational about it, but I actually wrote an editorial about it. If it was either this month or last month about, would you allow your son or daughter to join the trade if they were interested? And I've gotten feedback on both sides. Some say yes, some say no because there's no money in it. I mean, you work so hard if you go and get certified, you go and get trained, and you're still fighting an uphill battle against all of the big box stores, against the ones who are just undercutting, the ones who are sending out flyers that are saying, we'll install, hardwood at $139 a square foot. It's like, what's the point of even getting in your truck if that's what it's going to be?
The other thing, and I would agree with you, and I think that's probably the prevailing thought, but we've all seen installers that are very, very successful. And it's because they've got perhaps a business head.
Exactly.
And see how they can become profitable. Is there any work out there? Is there anything that's available to help installers become better business people?
Well, I know CFI offers some seminars on that. Basically, what they try to do is like, great, you're good with your hand skills. Now let's get good with your head skills. That's really important. And I'm sure there's others that also offer that too. But I know for sure, I've spoken with Jane Walker about this, and CFI does offer a program where you can go in and just learn more about the business side. In the end, it's still up to you what you do with that information, but you have to learn how to market yourself, not just your skills, because you could have the best skills in the world and still not being able to make your rent every month.
Well, Jim Walker, of course, and I was at his seminar on Monday, which was packed out, 180, I don't know how many people were in there, but it was a lot of people. And there's a fellow who has a good business head and has certainly done very, very well, and I suspect it's possible for a lot of other people to do that as well.
Well, what Jim said at the last CFI was, there's nothing special about me. I mean, I think there is something special about him, but, what he's trying to say is, anybody can be like this. If you just get up in the morning, you do the work, you brand yourself, you brand your business correctly, and then you back it up with quality installation. If you're all smoke and mirrors, people are going to see that real quick. But if you also don't promote yourself, no one's going to know that you're worth it. A lot of times people undercut themselves because they're like, oh, everyone else is charging less. But if you can charge more and you can make people see why it's important, I mean, then you're fine. You're all set.
That's a good place to leave it. And I'm sure there are seminars on the subject.
Oh, absolutely.
But I mean, that is, in fact, that's probably across business, retail, and otherwise. To get that business sense to it is really as important as the subject matter.
Absolutely. I mean, coming to services, coming to any of these trade shows, it's a great opportunity, not just to see the new products, to see the manufacturers and see your friends, but if you can get any type of installation education or even general sales education, I mean, just anything you can do, it always makes you better in the end.
I was at Education Day last year and this year, and I think probably the education is almost equally important as new products and new ideas, just from the people that show up.
Absolutely. I gauge whether a show is successful not as much by attendance, while that is important, but I gauge it by what I've learned that's new that I didn't know before. And I've always come out of every show learning something new. And, as long as you're out there sharpening the blade instead of dulling it, you're going to do good.
I'm getting a crick in my neck here. So Mike, I really appreciate it. I appreciate the input. Give us again, if somebody out here is not familiar with floor covering installer, how they can get a hold of it, how they can find it.
Okay, we're online at fcimag.com. And if you're reading the Talk Floor e-newsletter or seeing this video in the Talk Floor e-newsletter, there's links right on there too. And you can always just call me. My phone number is 603-791-0215. I love hearing from installers, contractors, anybody out there who wants to talk about the industry.
Mike, I appreciate it very much. It's always great talking with you.
You too, Dave.
We've been talking with Mike Chmielecki. He is the editor of Floor Covering Installer. We're at Surfaces 2014. And this is Talk Floor TV.